Hello everybody, Wide Andrew's Workshop here, and welcome back to the very first episode of Dawson Mountain Zoo. So, Dawson Mountain Zoo, I'm probably just going to call it Dawson for short going forward, is our very first Challenge Zoo series on the channel. Well, it's not necessarily a Challenge Zoo yet, because all of this has been built in sandbox mode so far, but the reason I did that is just because I want to get sort of just off the ground quickly and get some, quality content, because obviously the struggle with the challenge zoo and franchise mode is obviously money and worrying about money, and that often leads to some pretty not as good building from whoever, just because we have to watch our materials and piece count and stuff from a financial standpoint. So we will have to do that going forward, but for now I just wanted to really hit the ground running and build some really solid stuff just to start the series on a good note. So yeah, Dawson Mountain Zoo actually has a lot of history in my Planet Zoo career. It was the very first challenge zoo I started in the game back in January of 2020, or December of 2019, but whatever. But yeah, it was my very first challenge zoo. It was meant to be a sort of like the Cheyenne Mountain Zoo, like the sort of North American Rocky Mountains location, but it would have the diverse species count you would expect in a zoo in a sort of more normal location, which I found very appealing as a concept. Rudy did a similar thing with his Yosemite Valley project, but yeah, so that is sort of the concept we're rolling with, and I say we just get started. So let me press play, because obviously it's a tiny file, so I don't think we really have to worry about lag right now. And obviously we will open the zoo once we actually have a zoo and not just a handful of exhibits. But yeah, this is our first one. It is for Amur leopards. Hopefully one will turn up somewhere. But yeah, I really, really like how this came out. I've used... Oh, there's one. They used the climbing structure a lot, which is nice. It's a technique I've utilized for the... Wow. Very nice. Very, very cool. Thank you, Planet Zoo. But yeah, it's a technique I've utilized where instead of using mesh for the cage structure, I've just taken the ceiling fan cables and just sort of strung them about between these fence posts and the sort of central beam we have here. And I think it gets the effects done just fine, actually, or more than fine. I really, really love it. The first person I saw doing it was Crocs, because people have done a similar thing with the rope pieces, but Crocs used the ceiling fan cables in, I think it was a Langer exhibit, and I was like, that looks amazing, I'm stealing that. So shout out to Crocs for that. Really, really nice. And yeah, this sort of the budget I'm going for is I hesitate to say low budget, because obviously the materials and the quality of the exhibits is very high, but it's just kind of simple and not too big. It's kind of difficult to describe, but it's a very specific vibe I'm going for. In the sort of high quality, mid budget, I think is the best way to describe it. Because there's not much theming. It's very focused on sort of the natural landscaping, which is kind of new for me, because if you've been with the channel for a long time, you'll sort of notice my... Oh, is he going to go up on the rock? Yes. Yeah, I made sure the traversable area was good throughout the exhibit, so that was pretty rewarding. But yeah, you'll probably notice in my general body of work, I tend to focus on theming and rock work and architecture, and not sort of putting a crap ton of different plant species in the exhibit. I usually stick with one or two that are meant to represent just grass or a lawn space or something like that, and I'll just use the short grass brush, which we actually will see going forward. But for this exhibit, I really wanted to go all full naturalistic. And I'm really happy with how it turned out. The climbing structure also showcases a new development. Normally, I use the rope coils to connect to the beams, but I think might have been Squatch or someone else who's really good with climbing structures used the brass finials from the European set as like screws or nails just to nail the planks together, and it looks really, really cool. And I think would also be much more realistic than the rope coils, because the leopards would absolutely just tear into those and it would all come crashing down, which would be pretty suboptimal. So yeah, as you can probably tell, we have a pretty thorough backstage going on over there. So I say we just make our way over. And yeah, most of it is like mesh fronted, but then I have this really cool glass viewing area with a little pool over here. And as you can see, I have some pipes that are, carrying hot and like cold water respectively. And it all comes through this little drainage area here. And I think that detail was inspired by Eben's penguin exhibit that he did a couple years back, and I wanted to kind of replicate that. And then these signs are by Lion, of course. And before we pass by it, this fence design was inspired by the one at the Asian leopards exhibit at the San Diego Zoo. I just thought it was neat. I liked the color and the materials they used. We're getting a little unfinished as we go over here, but I'm going to sort of deck this whole area out because this is actually still guest accessible. It's just until we get into the doors where it's not. But guests will be able to see through these windows, and there'll be some informational signage about how the backstage works and how these windows actually have a double purpose. Not just for the guests to see in, but for the keepers as well, just to make sure the leopards are actually in their holding facility and not roaming the floors. Just as a sort of additional safety precaution. And that's why I've actually utilized these doors, which are by leader, which also have these windows, which are essential for keeper safety and animal safety. So yeah, very, very cool. Might as well go in. So yeah, this is our Amur leopard backstage. This is probably my first, because I've done backstage stuff before, but this is probably my most. That should not be. Well, you can tell from this one, or not. Okay, yeah. The chain link is meant to be sunken in this little section here, but I must have moved something and it got messed up. But it's no big deal. Yeah, so I've done backstage stuff before, but not to this degree of thoroughness. And hopefully the leopards will show up in here some point because they can actually navigate all of this quite well. But yeah, we've got like feeding cages. They would it's gonna be a pain in the ass to get it through here in explore mode. But the leopards, this would open up and the leopards would come in and eat or drink. And the keepers have this little sliding compartment that they can put the bowls through, and obviously the leopards wouldn't be in here at that moment. Hello. So yeah, and then we have these doors which are also okay. No, that's fine, that's cool. Yeah, just put me on the roof. That's exactly where I want it to be. But yeah, the doors are in an airlock system, so you come in, and then there's another one on the other side. I meant to do that for these, but I don't know, just forgot, I guess. we can, it would just be a pretty easy duplication. But yeah, that is something I picked up from blanking. DanXG, I think it was him who did a tutorial video, and he emphasized the importance of airlock systems in backstage for animals, especially dangerous ones like this, because it gives you like a little safe area to be in just in case there's something unsafe on the other side. And yeah, so these holding facilities are accessible by keepers, and then we have these sliding doors that would go while the leopards were either on or off show, and then while they were on show, the keepers could come in and clean them. And it's all concrete floored, of course, just easy to clean off stuff. So yeah, and then they've got platforms to hang out on, because I remember I was building a snow leopard exhibit one time, and it emphasized, I was looking at some resources in terms of research, and one of them emphasized the importance of having like a high place to be in like the backstage facility itself and not just outdoors. It just, I guess, makes the animals more comfortable and feel safe. So yeah, and then also we've got these yellow barriers, which are just there to keep the keepers and leopards as far apart as possible because the leopards could probably still bite and claw through the mesh. And then we've got this little compartment doodad, which is just like the button pressing for all of the different sliding doors. And then that is pretty much it. I'm actually going to do something here because something really cool the leopards do is they go here, but then they're actually stuck, so they have to actually climb over the structure. And then they hop out into their exhibit. It's really cool. It wasn't intentional, but it was just one of those little miracles that happens when you're building. And then I've also got a complete drainage system in the building, so whenever they're hosing down the floor, it will all just go into there. And then the pipes continue in through the building. I've got the hot and cold water that continues through to the other side. And then I've got the air conditioning, which starts here, and then there's this the little AC box. And then as we go outside, the hot and cold water pipes go into this filtration system, and then the AC goes into this larger HVAC box. So yeah, and then this the filtration is by Toves, I believe. He has a lot of insane blueprints. So yeah, that is the Amur leopard exhibit. This is still a work in progress. I've got this staff gate here, and then this is the actual gate into the exhibit, and then they actually go in and throw the boxes past this corrugated fence, so the leopards always end up in here. But yeah, I figure we can look around here a little more. Just some more of that natural foliage. And I tried to download the Amur leopard reskin, but didn't end up working, so I'll have to ask somebody about that. But yeah, here's their little pool again, and I've got some more of these platforms strewn about. I figure it would be pretty exciting for guests to see them like resting up against the glass. That'd be pretty exciting for me. And then they've got these like rocks that the kids and whoever can come up and climb on, just for a little extra enrichment on the guest half. And then more of the climbing structure. I wanted to get like a couple hills going in the exhibit just for some height variation. Just thought that would be neat. And they traverse it all really, really well, so it's really fun to see them go at it when they're not doing stuff like this. You got this, buddy. There you go. But yeah, that is not the only thing we have to show today at Dawson Mountain Zoo, because I built a second exhibit for... Is there any out here? No? Fine. This is... almost. This is for red pandas. So I've kind of got an Asian area going here to start. I don't know if I will like continue building upon this in the next episode or episodes. It just depends on which animals I have the amount of conservation credits for. But yeah, I figured this would be a fun little thing to start off with. This is where I definitely stuck to my old ways of... Jesus Christ, he's leaping all over the place. That was awesome. But yeah, this is where I stuck to my old ways of like much more simple and reserved landscaping, much more cheaper landscaping in this specific exhibit, because I've got these pine trees in like Home Depot buckets, which I think is actually really fun. And something I noticed when I went to the Bronx Zoo last year was that red pandas are actually not like terribly agile, as we just saw here. They're pretty like slow, sedentary creatures despite being really good climbers. So you don't really need like things like climbing guards and like mesh over top like you do with the leopards. You just need like a kind of hard surface to keep them from climbing out, and then you obviously have to avoid right angles, as I failed to do here, because they can get their hands on both sides and just kind of shimmy up, which I actually learned from the Masked Bandit video that he did several years ago for his red panda exhibit. So yeah, I need to patch that up. It was pretty easy to forget most of the time, but you'll see me applying it later on. But yeah, so it's just a pretty simple lawn space, and I've got some of these rocks strewn about the ground just for some extra texturing. I think this is based a lot on the exhibit they have at the Hogle Zoo in Utah. There he goes. Why don't you just take the stairs, buddy? But as you can see, similar to the Amur leopards, they have a functional backstage that they can traverse fully, which we will see momentarily. But I want to draw our attention to this viewing structure I've created. It is very simple. It's just the girder pieces, but I really like it. It's kind of strange, but it's cool. And I like the red color up against the green. That's some good color theory because these are complementaries. But yeah, I've continued the fencing over into this exhibit, and then I've got some additional signage here, and I made this red panda sign out of font pieces just because I wanted something to go here. But yeah, the red panda exhibit is split into 2 separate yards, and there are way too many. Jesus, they've been breeding like rabbits in my absence. But yeah, I figure they might be breeding them, so 2 yards would be good if they want to have multiple pairs, or if they're separating the genders for whatever reason. Maybe the mothers want to keep the babies safe from the males. I don't really know how red panda society works. But this is the larger of the 2. Definitely a much more thorough climbing structure which they use like almost exclusively. They don't really go into the first yard that much. But yeah, the mountain backdrop is what really makes this, I think. It's super, super cool. And then I really like this fence design, in particular the one with the mesh and the glass. I think I might have based it on something at the San Diego Zoo. It might have been the Babirusa exhibit. I'll confirm in editing. But it's just crawling with red pandas today. Yeah. So another exhibit with a lot of terrain variation. I think I'm going to really emphasize that in this zoo specifically just because of the mountainous conditions. But yeah, that is the sort of on show for the red panda exhibit. I've got some really nice dry landscaping over here. We've got some sage, we've got some cowberry bush, some nettles, some, forgetting what these are called, saltwort, Siberian pea shrub. Those are from the conservation pack. Those are some of my new favorites. They are absolutely beautiful. And then we've got Douglas firs, ash trees, and then the new common yew tree, which is from the Twilight pack, or at least the update that came with the Twilight pack. And I'm pretty sure it's a conifer. It looks really, really good. They did some excellent trees this time around, which is always great to see. So yeah, we're kind of going in a circle right now, so we need to head on back over here and go to this unfinished area, if we can get there quickly. And yes, this is the red panda backstage. No water features, so no pipes for that, but we still have a similar system with the HVAC. And then we come in here, and it's pretty similar to the leopards. I reused a lot of the blueprints, obviously. Do these guys want to move? Can they move? They can't. They're stuck here. Come on, guys. Let's move around. This happens sometimes where they just, like, end up in a spot and just kind of are stuck there permanently. But yeah, as I am demonstrating, they can move around this area perfectly. I want to implement some climbing structures in here actually, but they're gonna have more. Jesus. I want to implement some climbing structures in here, but hitbox is already tight enough, and I'm worried they won't be able to use this, so I'm kind of hesitant to do that. But like, I definitely have to, because that's definitely something they would need. But yeah, look at him go. He's doing it. As you've probably noticed, they jump a lot. They're like jumping through the doors and out the doors and around the climbing structure. That's just, yep, there he goes. But that's just a consequence of the hitboxes, and I'm okay with it because it means I can still like build how I want to build, which is really like compressed and realistic. But they can still use it even if it's a little wonky on their end. So yeah, that is the full red panda exhibit. I guess still technically a work in progress because of the backstage, but I'm happy with where it is right now, and I might move on to other exhibits going forward. And then the Amur leopard exhibit and the red panda exhibit are ready to go. I will open the zoo, I will turn on money and conservation credits, and we will go into full challenge mode, which was very exciting. I'm doing this project just because I want something to fall back on when my other 2 main series are being worked on by other people, those being St. Reginald Zoo and Orwell Zoo. Orwell Zoo has an exciting guest builder working on some primate stuff, and then obviously it's not my turn in St. Reginald Zoo. So this will be like a fun little thing to do when I can't do anything else, which probably means that it won't be terribly frequent, but both of those other projects are being like fully worked on, so we'll probably have another episode for this out soon. This is just sort of my effort to sort of revive my channel because the last episode of St. Reginald Zoo didn't do too well just because I kind of forgot to promote it. But that's neither here nor there. Welcome to Dawson Mountain Zoo. I'm excited to go on this journey with you guys. If you have any like animal suggestions for this park, I'm fully open just because it's a pretty the world is very much my oyster right now. So yeah, I'll see you in whatever comes next, and have a good one.